Alrighty. Welcome back, guys, to Riding with Witches. This is episode 5. We've
Yeah,
filmed for a solid month.
a whole month already is kind of crazy.
It's a little crazy. Um, so my name is Leona Urbansky. I am an author with my debut novel coming out in early next year. My co-host is
I am Nicole Autumn. I am the author of the Secret Society series that I have currently 3 books published in it, and the 4th one should be coming out before the end of the year. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Yep. And we are both witches.
Yes, that too.
So if you couldn't take it from the title and if you haven't been to our podcast before, we're mainly talking about writing. We're talking primarily book novel writing. I'm sure at some point we'll be diverging and talking about other writing, but not today. And we also are going to be throwing in some witchy tips usually throughout the episodes, so that we have our, as I put it, our little Venn diagram of authors and witches coming together
Yep.
for the community.
Yeah.
So since you kind of already gave a hint on book news, why don't you
Yeah.
start?
So book news, hopefully. Uh the final book in my series will hopefully be coming out the end of this year. I'm thinking probably November timeframe. Um, and right now it's still marinating. I'm still waiting on that first draft to completely be wiped from my memory. So I can go back to it with fresh eyes and start editing probably in like the next 2 weeks, I would say. Because I finished the before the last week of June and I wanted to give it a good solid month to just sit. So, in about 2 weeks, I should be able to like open it back up and hopefully start editing on it.
Wait.
Yeah.
So
Anything
book
for
news
you?
for me. Still planning early 2026 for Fire Magic. But some new news is I am actually contracting with an artist for the cover design. And Nicole has been getting flooded with, oh my God, look at the concept art all week.
I love it though because it's like each time you send me something, it's like it's gotten better and better. I'm like, "Ooh, that's really nice. Oh, that looks really cool." she's she's doing a good job. Even just for just like quick concept sketches, like it really gives you an idea of what you're getting into, which I'm excited
So
for you.
yes, sign up for the Substack because as soon as she allows me, I'm probably going to be sending out some of the concept art for the cover designs. She is also going to work with me on the Kickstarter and help me design the bookmarks and the character art prints. And um, we were talking about, she's given me 3 choices of concept art so far for the cover. So of the 2 that I don't choose, we're talking about making them either alternate covers or extra reward prints, and she's going to completely draw them out all the way so that we have 3 fully illustrated scenes of fire magic.
That's
If the
exciting.
Kickstarter's fun.
That is so
So
exciting.
yes, I cannot wait to see the final product.
Because her art was really good. You found a good
Yes.
artist. So,
And I got lucky.
yeah, I mean, just the availability, because a lot of artists that do have really good art skills, sometimes they're booked out months with commissions.
For sure. Like we were just talking about one before the podcast. We were talking about, and I'll show you the books later. And she's like, "Who's the artist?" And I was like, "So and so. I already checked. They're booked out. They aren't taking commission."
Damn. Dang it.
So yes, as soon as we're contracted and I have permission from the artist, then I will definitely be revealing the name and sending out sneak peeks on the Substack. So make sure you're signed up for that because now you will not only be getting sneak peeks of the writing of the book, but the art. And that's always fun.
Ooh.
We might sneak in some character art of Druce as a stretch goal for the Kickstarter. I'm
Oh,
thinking.
well, now let me go sign up for Substack. Like, I'm not
Yes,
going to
there,
get to see them anyways.
more numbers. So yeah, that's all of my book news. So yeah, book writing arc outlining, man. Your most hated enemy.
Yeah. I was just sitting here thinking, I was like, man, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to give input on. I know the
Fair.
base, like, what I learned from, like, school and stuff, but other than that, which I wasn't a fan of it then either, which is probably why, like, those outlining days for not for creative writing or for papers, I always got like a D. She's like, could be better, and I'm like, well, whatever. I'll just give you the paper when it's done, and that's the part that matters, the finished product.
Since you already mentioned it, let's just jump in, and that is actually the first point I had is a standard outline, and this is the outline that you are taught in school and in college on how to structure papers. Uh, but you also have to remember these outlines aren't getting graded.
Oh yeah.
For one, for two, you can use them how you want. My best suggestion with a classic outline with the either bullet points or ones and letters to go with it, have every main point be a scene. And then maybe later you can go back and break the scenes into chapters if you want. Depends on how you want to edit and how much you want to edit on the timeline. And then the details underneath each scene to play out. And the details are a good place, not just for like what's happening in the scene, but like, is there a really significant quotation that needs to happen here? Is there a decision that needs to be made? Is there a visual image that's a foreshadowing that you're putting in there? Those are all the kinds of details that I would put in there in a classic outline. I'm not going to dig too heavily into this one because it is pretty standard. I mean, if you guys really want me to dig into it in a later episode, I will. I'm an English major. I will definitely do so.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure you all know what I'm talking about, and I don't want to take up the time with it.
Yeah, it's like that classic everybody learns it in English class, in high school, in middle school even, when you really start writing papers and stuff or so yeah, it's just the basic, give all the
Yeah.
key info in a structured format.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not going to do a commentary on the American education system because that's a whole episode in and of itself. But the reason outlines have survived and are taught everywhere, generally they work,
Yeah.
depending on how you utilize them and how much you make them work for you. Some people, that's just not how their brains work, and they need to use other things, which is totally fine. But if outlines work for you, don't let that old hatred of it from your education days hold you back from using it, I
Yeah.
guess is what I'm saying.
And that's a fair point. I think because a lot of people dislike school, not everybody, but there's a majority, I would say, dislike school, and that's probably because again, our school system. I won't go into that either because I was a homeschooler for a while with my kids, so I know all about it. Um, but I feel like that dislike is probably what keeps people from using it. And although, like, it does
Mm-hmm.
not work for me just because I feel like my brain just doesn't work that way. And I feel like if I take the time to structure an outline, I feel like it's almost redundant because I know I'm going to put all this stuff in. Why am I writing it twice? Because I'm going to put so much detail that it's too much detail.
Yeah.
so it
No, that's fair.
so it almost doesn't make sense for me because then it's like I'm doing it twice. But like you said, it can be very helpful to put those main points, quotations, foreshadowing, so you can see how it's going to lay out in a chronological order that your book is going to go into.
And then one thing you can do now that you've mentioned the chronological order thing, depending on what your book is, how it's structured, maybe you're wanting to kind of have a mixed up timeline, but you're like, okay, let me list all of this out in chronological order first. And then the lovely things about computers and word processors nowadays is you can kind of shift all of that around so that if you have the novel going from two perspectives, you could like maybe do, and I know this may be redundant, but do two outlines, one from each perspective, and then you can figure out the best way to meld them together.
Yeah.
Or if you're doing a broken up timeline, I remembered her name. The fifth season, N.K. Jemisin is the author, the one that I was talking about last time,
Yeah.
has three different timelines going on in this book. And you find out later they're all connected. And that is one way I can think of. I don't know if that's how she did it, but one way that she could have done it was do this whole chronological outline and then pull the chunks and fit them in, fit them differently so that you have this just masterfully written novel with three different timelines. And
Yeah.
I'm sure I don't know how she works, I don't know how her process works, but I could definitely see that being one approach to it.
Yeah. Especially like if you're jumping around in timelines, but also if characters are split and time runs differently. So in my book, for example, one day on Earth is 3 days in the demon planet, Larkaroth, that they're in. So I had to sit down and be like, okay, 3 days is passing for them. What is happening? And how is that going to line up when it comes to the other characters? So having that outline of, okay, this is all happening, and then, you know, it's 3 days for them, it's like over a week for them, at like one group and then the other, and they come back and they're like, wait, you've been gone how long? Like, what? All this has happened? This is crazy. So that is where timelines can also help keep things neat and tidy and deciding, okay, well, how long is this going to last? How long is this lasting? So events can line up.
Yeah. And you jumped absolutely perfectly into our second point,
Oh,
which is the horizontal timeline.
oh, there we go. Perfect segue.
Absolutely, just perfection, chef's kiss there. Um, Using that horizontal timeline
Yeah.
and being able to it can look just as chaotic as it needs to look for you. My suggestion is to have it be horizontal because the human mind just processes a timeline easier that way because we've been conditioned towards it for so long.
I'm literally looking at two horizontal timelines right here next to me.
I know exactly what you're doing.
I was like, should I show this or would it give too much info on the next one I'm writing?
If you are going to be jumping back and forth on a timeline in order to keep it coherent for you, my suggestion is to use your color coding and to use labeled arrows. So you know, like this is jump number one, then we're going to do jumping number two, then jump number three. I'm trying to do weird timeline here things, but that
Yeah.
lets you keep track of it and make sure that every major event is noted. It's kind of basically taking that vertical timeline we were talking about and flipping it so it's
Mm-hmm.
horizontal now. But every major event should be getting noted, and you can have notes about those events. And heck, maybe you're writing a multiverse novel, and this is a good way you can have them. I'm trying to do it wrong here. You can have them branch off
Yeah.
into their own timelines, or and then if he comes back, or again, like you said, you have multiple parties. You could have like three different timelines and how they all are coming together.
It's almost like a bracket system. Think March
Yeah,
Madness, and they split. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that's a good way to use it too, is using those timelines to help keep and harping back to the outline for just a second because this applies to both ways of outlining. Is it's not just to guide you as you write, because you may write an outline and then it goes off the rails,
Yeah.
and when you're actually writing it because of something someone said, you're like, why am I bothering to use this outline? It's not going there anymore. I would still highly suggest just skimming the outline at least to be like, okay, what are still important? I'm not saying rewrite the whole outline. That again, that is, as you said, redundant.
Yeah.
But keeping in mind those major points that you feel need to be there in order for the book to reach the conclusion you're aiming for. Now, maybe that conclusion went that way.
Yeah, it could.
It's happened.
Yep.
But so some of those events and some of those decisions and some of those words are useless now, but you might also see, oh, this could still have an influence in this character's way of thinking that will steer them down this path still, kind of thing. So it's because who knows, maybe you start writing a first draft and you have to drop it because you got a new job and you're trying to sort all that out, and you come back to this thing 6 months later and you're like, where was I with this, kind of thing. Having that
Yeah.
outline to help you remember where you're aiming for could be very helpful.
Yeah.
We don't all have
And
picture perfect memory.
I don't. But the point I was also going to make, like you said, is sometimes, you still want those key points instead of it being a straight line. It might loop-de-loop a little bit, take you somewhere else, but eventually you could end up coming back to it, and having that as a reference is really helpful when finishing whatever you're writing.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Does that move
And
us to
speaking of
our witchy
writing,
tip?
yeah,
Well,
we're segueing it like crazy tonight, man.
I know. Speaking of writing, um, last episode for our witchy tip, we talked about having a book of shadows or a grimoire, whichever you decide to call it. Um, if you should keep one, why you would want to keep one. Um, just giving you that info. And then this time I figured, well, we talked about why you would want to keep one, but now what do you put in it? Because I feel like that's a lot of there's a lot of hesitation on, okay, I got this new journal or grimoire that I'm going to start. I have no idea what to actually put in it. Um and it could be anything really revolving around your craft. It could be your spells, your rituals, your tea recipes, your oil blends that you use for anointing candles or yourself, or your tools, you know. And if you're new to the craft, learning and researching is going to take up a lot of time. And finding that research and writing it down in one place where you have it, that you trust what's there and what feels right for you, having that and having that research in one spot instead of scattered among like 1,500 books is helpful. I have, probably a good 30, 40 books sitting here, all with different information. Some things line up, other things don't. So having it in one spot is a good idea. Um, Also, depending on, what branch of witchcraft, Wiccans have these sacred texts like the threefold law and stuff like that. You could put those in there, or finding things that really resonate with you, that you're like, this is how I want to live my life and this is something influential to me. You put it there because that's going to influence you in the way you do your craft, right? Um, and then the basics like your correspondences for herbs and candles and all that good fun stuff that you end up having to look up on Google anyways because you forget. I still do
Yes.
it. um, it could be the moon cycles, divination, any dream work or shadow work that you do, because surprisingly, a lot of witchcraft is also learning about yourself and who you are, and that shadow work that you dive into, you're going to want to write it down because you learn some heavy, heavy lessons. So being able to look back on that and say, wow, I've come a long way, you know, um, that's always good to have. So you could sit here and say, I'm not progressing, or I feel like I've learned this lesson, or you can always go back and look at it. And I feel like that's the big thing, is being able to go back and look at the work you've done.
Mhm.
And then let's see, or devotional practices and deity research. You know, if you delve into working with any spirits, deities, infernals, whatever your choices are, research who you are going to work with. And you need to know what they expect out of you, their practices, and before you dive into that. And having that, after doing that research, having it on hand at all time is always, 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 always a good idea. um, but if there's anything else you would like to add.
I mean, honestly, the main thing I can say, the easy answer to all this is whatever you want to put in it.
That too.
But that's not the answer people are looking for either. So
That's a
here's
little
the question.
broad. So people, I mean, yeah, I mean, it could be random. I like got a whole bunch of scrapbooking stuff that I was like, ooh, this is really cute, or washi tapes or stickers, or I tried doing the, oh, I'm going to make it really pretty and formal looking. And I'm like, this is not who I am. I'm kind of a mess. I like scrapbooky type things. So I'm like, I'm essentially going to make mine into a scrapbook. So like the first few pages are all formatted and beautiful. And I've taken my time to write things out in cursive, and it's beautiful. And I'm like, this is stressful. I'm going to slap down a pretty picture, tear some paper, glue it in, and write what I need to write. You know, it could be anything and any style. You know, some people just want the information, and that's what they're into.
Yeah, that's
Great.
literally what mine is just handwritten bullet points, notes, holidays, what I do on the holidays,
Yeah.
divination.
If that works for
I
you,
don't
that works for
draw, I
you.
don't sketch. Yeah, I just literally just write it down.
Yeah.
That's
And
all that's
then,
in
you
there.
know, you have people that are natural born artists that everything they touch just ends up beautiful. And you're just like, I don't know how the hell you did that, but can you give me some? I need that. So, I mean, it is entirely a reflection of you and your craft, and however you decide to lay it out is entirely up to you. But the information is what matters. And I think having all the things that you do is a good thing to put in it. So you can always look back.
And you know, you've actually taught me a little bit here because, as you know, I've only recently started working with deities, even though apparently, and I didn't know this when I got this, they all show up on my arm in one way or another. And you can't see the cougar, but I didn't know that when I got it. Um,
They were speaking to you. They're like,
yeah,
hey, hey, here you go. Here's a sign.
yeah, pretty much. It's literally on your skin. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, doing that deity research, and actually, I should do that. Because like
It
right
is a
now, it's
good.
just kind of I honor them. I know what colors, I know what plants correspondences to use with them, but like I've never actually connected with anyone else
Mm-hmm.
that I know of
Yeah.
that actively works with these guys. So I have all of these good intentions and all these books on my Amazon wish list about these deities that I should buy and read, and maybe just do a quick Google search would probably be a good
Even
idea.
even just doing a deep dive for a couple hours could give you a lot of information. It might be harder on some of the lesser known, or things like infernals. I know there are some people that do work with them, and finding that information is a lot harder. Um, but on average, I feel like a lot of people gravitate to the main ones. You know, there is a lot of information out there, and finding those, even those little sources that are 5 pages back on Google, you may find something that they have found that you're like, wait a minute, this is kind of lining up when I read this. And also just do a lot of cross referencing, because there is a lot of people that will talk like they know what they're talking about, and they're like, oh, like, I'm not going to go on this rant, but there's a lot of people that God spouse shit, and I'm like, oh, you might want to think twice about that. Um, like a good one, for example, is Loki. The amount of times I've seen people saying, I'm God's spouse to Loki, I'm like, no, you're not, honey. You don't want to be God's spouse to that man. He is literally chaos embodied. I would not recommend. So make sure you know who you're working with, and maybe don't go into it with this romanticized version of a Marvel character, because that's not who you're working with, and
Right.
that will come up with people like Odin, Thor, Loki, or even when you look at, the, oh, what's that one? Wrath of the Titans with all their gods, Do your research. Do not rely on Hollywood movies, please. Um, you will end up, I'm trying to look for the word. It just won't be good for you. It won't end well.
Also, jumping back onto our well-known soapbox, if you've been watching our podcast at this point, be careful what you're reading and what do your cross-referencing, as Nicole said, but
Yeah.
also make sure it's coming from a genuine human being,
Yes.
because AI does not know what it's talking about.
No. It will regurgitate whatever it can get its hands on. And that is not always accurate information or
Yes.
specific information per deity, right? Because some are harder to find, like I said. And, you know, like Hades, for example, when you are putting your devotionals for him, he expects it in a pit. And, there's a lot of things that are expected of you as a worshiper or a devotee that you don't want to fuck up. Like, you
Yeah.
don't want to anger them because they are, deities. So go into it with a mutual respect, and everything should be good as long as you do your research and you respect them. Things should be all right.
Yes. So, step one for Fiona when she gets offline tonight.
Do some research, which is like, I feel like is going to be our tagline, like writing with witches, do your research.
I like that a lot, actually.
Because it's it come up almost every single episode. Do your research. Do your research. It
Not only in witchcraft, but also in writing.
Yep.
Do your research.
In life, research is never a bad thing.
No, I recently wrote a short story, and there's something in it where I kind of draw on the generic properties of bioluminescent moss. I sent this story to Nicole. And she's like, did you send that to your scientist friend? I was like, oh yeah. She's like, you're gonna get roasted. I was like, oh shit, you're right. Now, I did talk to her. I says, all right, I can take it. And she's like, no, it's fine. She's like, it's not like you went deeply. She's like, did you do the research on this though? And I'm like, not yet.
No.
I think she's gonna
Not
get to me about
really.
the point. Pretty sure that was gonna come up. She hasn't gotten to that point yet. So yes, do your research before you put it out in the world, I guess, is what I'm trying to say here. It's okay in writing
Yeah.
to kind of go off of your generic impressions of things, but before you put that out in the world, do your research. Make sure those stereotypes have some seed of truth, I guess,
Yeah.
and don't just
I mean, and when it comes to like fictional writing, you can always fudge it a little based on your world, but you can't just be blatantly wrong, you know?
Oh yeah,
So
she went on the whole chloroform cat. I'm not a chemist like she is. I love her dearly for it. I pick her brain on a regular basis. But the words that she was throwing at me, I'm like, okay.
You're like, ma'am, I I went to school for English. It is going way over my head.
Exactly.
You're like, I will take your word for it, but you don't need to explain. That's fair.
So,
I know I wouldn't have caught anything if someone tried to explain some chemistry to me. I'm like, if it isn't the basic, like how water is formed,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and it's a little deceiving on my end because I am in a technical job. I am in information technology,
Mm-hmm.
which is technically a scientific field.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think we both forget that I'm really not in the same scientific field as it's a
Yeah.
joke between us, between the three of us. We have like 4 or 5 degrees between the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
No, we have more than that. We have like 7 or 8 degrees between the two of us at this point in our lives.
Sweet Jesus.
And we're both still going for more. Um, so anyway, I don't know where I was going with that, but I know where I was going
That
with
your
that. It's
sciences are not exactly lining up.
yes, they are not side by side. They are not
Yeah.
even adjacent.
No, no, they're not.
Hand me some SQL code, I'll know what to do with it. You hand me the periodic table, the
Yep.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I barely know what it's called apparently.
You're like, I know there's hydrogen and oxygen. You're like, I don't know the rest.
Like I know all the puns that people like to make up with them.
Yeah. All the corny puns, your science puns.
Exactly.
That's good. Well, was there anything else you wanted to add to the witchy tip of what you could add to a grimoire or book of shadows?
The only other thing I'll add is we kind of talked about this and these
Words.
writing words are hard. Writing your own grimoire or book of shadows, honestly, to me, is the perfect opportunity to use those pretty notebooks.
Yeah.
Like, I've had this absolutely stunning blue dragon notebook from the artist Ruth Thompson sitting on my shelves because I didn't want to mess it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is a freaking beautiful dragon. What could be better for a book of shadows?
Oh, yeah, like nothing. That would be like perfect.
So
And you really like
use it. Take
dragons.
say what?
I said, and you really like dragons, so it makes sense that
Oh yes, I do.
it would make sense that that would be your book of shadows or your grimoire, you know?
There are multiple dragons on my altar. Yes.
Nice. Another spirit that you could work with, you know, if you do your research.
To be fair, dragon, I have done research on dragons. They're all over the place. You got to be more specific.
Yes, yes. I mean, I know there is a lot. I mean, there's like a whole branch of like draconian witches that only work with like dragon spirits. And I'm like, you do you. I'm too scared. That's a little too far for me.
You know what? They just kind of you would think if you knew me at all and you knew my history, it would be unicorns or equine based
Yeah.
animals. And it's not. It's cats and it's dragons that have wormed their way into my life for some reason.
Yeah.
And the irony of that just occurred to me as I recall that in the How to Train Your Dragon animated series, they based Toothless's behavior on cats.
Off a cat. Yeah. I was when you said cats and dragons, I was like, okay, so the furry version, the small furry version of a dragon, a cat.
Yes, exactly. And I have one that is usually very angry when he can't get to me.
A little angry fluff ball.
All right, yeah, no, that's all I have to say. Dragons.
Okay, so back to writing involved topics. Um, rough outlines.
All right. In my defense, there's only so much we can talk about with outlines
Yeah,
because it's an outline.
yeah,
There's only so many ways you can do this. If you have different ways of outlining and you want to email these ways to me so that I can bring them up in later episodes, please do. I would love to see, and this is a genuine, this is not just me searching for content. I love to see other people's processes and how they do their books and how they write their books. Like I would love to see it and how
yeah.
your process works. And I can also add more to the outlining episode. Um, rough outline. It does sound the same. I'm not going to argue with that. My suggestion with the rough outline, though, is instead of making it all neat and organized like a formal outline, it's just throw what sticks at it. Use your scrapbooking materials. Cut out the pictures or print them from. Do we get magazines anymore? Cut out pictures from magazines or print them out and cut them out and put them
If
into your outline.
if that isn't a giveaway for our age, is there magazines anymore? Oh my god, I remember just collaging my entire folder with magazine stuff that you ripped out. God.
And that's something to do for your rough outline. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be in order. Rough outlines are rough. They're what are your general goals? What are major events? What are key decisions that you need to be shown or at least talked about? And but it's however you and this applies to all of this, but specifically it's whatever media or way, make it a vision board. That could be considered a rough outline.
I was thinking
Um,
brain dump. Like literally
right.
just getting it down on paper or on a document. Like, and sometimes once you start writing it down, oh, well, this, I want this in there. Or, oh, I want that to happen. Or, well, maybe I need a character for this purpose. And it's just a brain dump. You just get it all
Yeah.
out so you can look at it later.
Yeah, it's whatever gets the ideas and the thoughts and the story out of your mind and onto some form of media, paper, computer, whatever.
Yeah.
However you want to do it, getting it out there so that you can then take a step back and look at it as a whole and see there might be trends that you didn't see before you had it all laid out like this. There might be characters that are going to be way more important than you realized at first that you need to make sure they live. um you need to
My son came down. I muted my mic because he was walking down. He was going, "Kah, kah." I was like, I'm podcasting. And then he walks down and goes, I'm like, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
totally fine. We don't have to edit that one out because he didn't actually show up on camera this time.
Yeah. Yeah. A little funny tidbit. Yes, my we're actually not filming at midnight for once, and people are still awake in my house. Oh, hello. And now my cat has come to join.
Yeah, the door's shut behind the curtain so my cats can't join right now.
Yeah, I'm in our front room, so there's no doors. Would you like to
There
say
are
hello?
no doors.
Come here.
It is an open air recording.
Nope. Okay. Yep, open air recording. Yeah, he decided as soon as I went to grab him, he was like, nope, I'm leaving.
So yeah, anyway, rough outline.
Yeah.
It's however you need to get the information, get that brain dump done so that you can look back at the whole picture and know where you're going.
Yeah.
Maybe that doesn't work for you. maybe it is better. I know you started your first book literally just writing the book, and it stuff came as it
Yeah.
came. But I also know the further you got into the series, the more you did have to sometimes take a step back and look and see where you were going to make sure that everything was lining up too, right?
Yeah. To make sure I wasn't putting myself in plot holes was a big one, right? I didn't want to start something and write on something down the line and then forget that I even mentioned this storyline. Because I know at one point when I was writing this one and I was thinking of who the main antagonist is going to be at the end, and you're like, oh, is it this person? I was like, I completely forgot about them. I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. This might work. So I ended up completely shifting where I was going. And if you hadn't have read it, I would have written myself into this situation that probably would not have worked out as well. So, yeah, sometimes you do have to step back. And even sometimes you have to go back and reread your whole novel that you've already written, to look and be like, okay, this is what I've done. I know where I want to go, but how are we getting there? Or if there are plot holes, how are we fixing these? How are we closing it? Um, so yeah, there are definitely times when you have to step back and do a little planning, even if it is a sticky note with bullet points on it.
You know, for the
It's
best.
this this is literally the notes you gave me for my short story. Um I'm like, okay, let me just jot this down so I don't forget. um so even just a sticky note with just a couple things of key facts, like, okay, I need to go back and fix this so it like makes more sense, or add more here, or this needs to line up differently for this to work. um yeah, but when I'm not doing that and I'm starting fresh on something, I do summaries, which I know is our next bullet point, and I feel like
I actually
perfect
had one more
segue.
thing to say on the rough outline though.
Okay, go ahead.
So remember how we said in the planning episode, planning doesn't stop once you start writing the book.
Correct.
That also applies to when you're writing a series. Now, maybe you didn't make an outline for the first book of your series.
Yeah.
It wouldn't hurt if you're willing to take the time, and this is your thing, after you've written that first book and you're ready to publish it, to go back and make yourself an outline of what happened in the first book.
Yeah.
And then you can look at it later and be like, okay, this happened, this, and put page numbers even if you want, so you can go back and read that specific scene if you need to.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go back and reread the whole book, because I am just as guilty of that. I have done it.
Or,
um
you're like me and you just have them sitting on your desk at all times so you can flip through and highlight things, and you're flipping through, you're like, I know it's in here somewhere.
Use the flag, use the little sticky flags.
Yeah, I need to get some more of those. I ran out.
I i run out of them very fast too, so
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, now on to summaries. You are on your way.
Summaries. So for me, I will get an idea, right? From whatever. And my summary is literally could be the scene that I thought of. It could be just this woman meets this MMC in this way, and I want it to go off on this world, and or whatever it may be. It is literally like a 3 sentence, 4 sentence summary of the broad overall what I want this book to be. Are there any details? Nope, not really. It is just like it is a summary of, I know this person's going to meet this person, this main thing could happen, and that's where it's going to end up. And sometimes that's enough to get started, like that is how book 1 started. I think I wrote down like a basic I think I wrote like a basic character profile of Amy, was like her name, her age, uh what she looked like, because that's just how my brain works. To form the character, I need to know what they look like. And that was it. Like, and then I just started writing. It just went off from there. So even just a little character profile that is like literally name, age, what they look like, that could sometimes be enough to get started. Um, and as you go on, you may want to write little summaries of, okay, well, now that this happened, I want them to go here and do this. And that's it. Like, just like 2 sentences. And you fill in the gaps as you go.
Yeah. And you can do more than 2 sentences if you need to. I
Oh,
mean, we're
yeah.
not we're
I
not
was
saying,
just, yeah.
yeah, that's just how you work.
That's just how
Um,
I work. I'm speaking from experience.
but one of the other good things about summaries, though, is you're not restricting yourself to those bullet points like you are with an outline, and it's a lot easier to get kind of a flow of consciousness method going, and
Yeah.
just write out the scene. Um, that gives you the rough story to follow. A lot of times, a summary is going to include, depending on who you are and how you work it, usually it will include pivotal scenes that you want to include, like what a lot of times it'll include what's the instigating event that's making this story happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, honestly, and I love you dearly, but I would say what you would consider a summary is what I would consider an elevator pitch.
Yeah, that could be true. Yeah, I could
So
see
they're
that.
succinct, and it's what the story's about, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, there are some where I've gone into more detail. Like, I had this crazy like dream that straight up was like horror novel, and I literally wrote out that scene exactly how it was in my dream, and it essentially ended up being like a full like good 2 chapter scene. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but because horror is not my genre. But I was like, I'm gonna write this down so maybe someday in the future, maybe never, I don't know, it's there if I need it, you know? So there are those times where you are getting more detail into it, or even starting just the first 2 chapters can give you so much information on where you want it to go.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the elevator, I tend to be an elevator pitch type person. But then when you ask me what it's about, brain goes blank, and I'm like, uh. And then all of the facts are, it's like blank, and then all of the facts hit me, and I'm like, okay, well, how much time you got?
Right? Like, here's the info dump for you.
Yep. It's either one of two, info dump or absolutely nothing. Not a thought behind those eyes.
So yeah, elevator pitch. It's exactly what we were just talking about. It's 2 to 3 sentences. It's what you can give to someone in the time that you're in an elevator together that gives the basic message of what your story is about. Um, and if you decide to go the traditional publishing route, there are a lot of agents out there. They're going to want your elevator pitch. So just
Yeah.
be prepared, because I know it, to do a good elevator pitch. Sorry, I went swimming today and the chlorine, I should have taken my contacts out. Um, anyway,
Yeah.
uh, be prepared to be able to convey in a few sentences what your story is about. We're
Yeah.
not saying a few paragraphs. We're saying a few sentences, and few is in 2 to 3
Yeah.
sentences. It can't be, each 3 lines long or anything like that. So
Yeah.
agents don't like that.
Yeah, they don't want the back cover of your book, which is that 2 3 little boop boop boops. Yeah, they want that like main overall storyline plot, 2 3 sentences max. So it's got to be quick.
Yeah, exactly. So side note, because you brought up Amy earlier,
Yeah,
I was absolutely thinking of Amy when I got dressed because I went for the comfy sweatshirt and the leggings. I was like, this is an Amy outfit.
it 100% is. And if she isn't wearing something like that, she's wearing like a tank top and a cardigan over.
We're both cosplaying Amy tonight. Yay.
She is like the epitome of cozy clothes. Like she's not. She's like, I'm gonna be comfy. I don't care what anyone says, no matter the occasion.
Except when she turns it up and then she's hot as hell.
Yeah, unless it's a formal event, and then she's like, okay, I'll suffer if I look that good, you know. um, but yeah, so that would move us to book reviews.
Yeah, honestly, that's all I got on outlining. Like I said,
Yeah,
there's not a whole lot you can really say about
there's
it.
only so
But
much
it
we
is
could
an
talk about.
important step
Yeah, even if
to
you
at least
do as
consider.
little as I do, it is still a step that should be taken.
Fair
So,
enough.
yeah. Any book reviews?
Do you have to ask?
No.
Okay. You don't have to ask. Um, as an English major, I it's kind of a lifelong goal to read as much classic fiction as I can without lulling my brain into the grave. Um, so I do alternate it. This particular novel has been on my classic fiction list for a long time. I honestly, and I'm withholding the name on purpose, I honestly did not know what this story was about. I started reading this story only knowing that it was a famous author that I felt I should read because they were important in the literature realm.
Especially women's
And I've
literature.
and I've heard, yeah, especially in women's literature, and I've
Yeah.
heard novel title. Wuthering Wuthering or what, I don't know. Wuthering Heights.
I always thought it was Wuthering Heights.
There's no R though. It's
Wuthering?
Wuthring. Wuthering.
Oh. Well, then
Yeah,
me just throwing in random letters, I guess.
by Emily Bronte. I have read her sister's novel Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and you can't see it, but I have this. If you're not watching it, you can't see it. I have this lovely anthology from Penguin that has Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, and Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte. And I will be reading Agnes Grey eventually. So yeah, um, I like to watch movie adaptations of classic novels, and I was looking up movie adaptations for Wuthering Heights, and everything I read told me it's a classic love story.
I've heard that too.
It's not. It's really not. I don't know where they're coming up with this. The closest love story I can think to compare it to, and I haven't even read these other novels that I'm about to compare it to, I've just heard of them, are the ones that are very, very toxic, dark romances. It's the closest thing I can compare it to.
I was just going to say maybe she is the founder of dark romance. I mean, it's safe to say,
But
you know, with Jane Austen, she was the enemies to lovers, you know, and maybe Bronte is the dark romance. You never know.
I will give you that. But the way it's written,
Yeah.
she is commenting on these relationships. She is not endorsing these relationships at all,
Yeah.
because she straight up says multiple times this is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, bluntly says it. So maybe, but I can't run with that particular thought process because of the
Yeah.
commentary that's in this story. Honestly, how I would describe it is how, trigger warning for people, I am going to talk about abuse, domestic abuse, specifically child abuse. Um, it is how child abuse can make a person turn dark
Yeah.
and go on a revenge arc, because that's what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you've never heard Wuthering Heights, and you don't know what it's about, basically starts with this orphan being adopted. Um, He was on the streets. I'm guessing he was like 6 or 7 when this guy just picked him up off the streets and brought him home. And he brought into this family unit of a father with his 2 children, a boy and a girl. The father was not the abuser in any way, shape, or form. He was a very sweet man. He was very loving to all 3 of the children. The abuser was the son.
Okay.
And he beat this kid black and blue, literally. Like, there is one scene in here where it's described as his entire bicep is black from the abuse he got.
Damn.
Yeah. As the story progresses, Heathcliff is the name of the orphan. So if you've heard that name before, that's where that came from. Catherine is the daughter of this family unit that he was brought into. He and Catherine eventually come to love each other in a really bad way. And part of what's happening also is, for that time period, is the classism and the racism that is happening. Because Heathcliff is described as being dark-haired and dark-skinned.
Okay.
How dark of a skin, it's never specified on.
Gotcha.
But you can imagine finding this kid in the middle of the streets somewhere in England in that time period.
Yeah.
So Catherine, and this is no spoilers, I'm not even going to bother saying that. Catherine ends up marrying the boy down the road because he is of her social standing compared to Heathcliff.
Mm-hmm.
And she ends up dying in childbirth.
Ooh.
Which pisses Heathcliff off to no end. And he literally goes on a revenge arc with their children. So there's
Wait,
3 children.
Children?
They're children!
So this man is picking on children?
Yes.
Oh, God. Yeah, I couldn't read this. I'd be pissed the whole time.
I was so mad. So that's how I know she's a really good author, because I was so angry. There's 3 children that come up in the second half of the book. One of them is Heathcliff's son. One of them is Catherine's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is the son of the natural born son from earlier that abused him.
Yeah.
So the Earnshaw was his name, the one that abused Heathcliff, the natural born son.
Yeah.
Earnshaw dies, and Heathcliff somehow gets Earnshaw's son in his guardianship.
Oh, that can't be
and
good.
treats that kid just the way he got treated.
Oof.
Then he gets his son to marry Catherine's daughter and gets them under his guardianship as well. So he has all 3 of these poor kids. And I mean, they're teenagers at this point in the story, early 20s.
Yeah.
But they are physically locked into the house, abused, hit, starved.
Damn.
Pure revenge story.
Yeah.
It is so dark. It's really nasty. And I know a lot of the reviews I read of the movies were going on about how most of the movies just completely drop the second half of the book, which is the story about the kids.
Yeah.
For good reason.
Sounds like it.
I am sorry, unless you just really want to read classic literature by a well-known female author, and I'm not gonna lie, it is an extremely well-written book. But it is definitely a product of its time. It's definitely a commentary on its time.
Yeah.
And how it's a study in human nature. That's for damn sure.
And I was thinking the entire time you were explaining this, I'm like, I watch a lot of true crime. This sounds like the stereotypical true crime plotline, right? A kid is born, their parents are shitty, you know, there's abuse that happens and then they grow up and they end up being serial killers, or they end up being just as bad as their parents. And that also calls into the question, you know, that time old question of nature versus nurture. And I feel like this story is another good example of that, where, you know, the nurturing you get, you end up being the product of. So that, but that sounds freaking rough. Holy, I don't know how you got through that. I would have thrown it
I
across the room.
almost put it down. And you know
Ugh,
how much it takes for me to put a book down. I
yeah,
almost put it down.
that's rough.
It's rough. And if you are sensitive towards, if you have that trigger of abuse, physical, emotional, verbal, specifically towards children,
Yeah.
I would not suggest reading this book.
Yeah, that's like one of my few triggers. I could read pretty much anything, but when it starts to involve children, I'm like, nope, I won't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
He literally, in one scene, Catherine is the younger girl, the little, not little girl, but the Catherine Jr.
Mm-hmm.
is like 15, 16,
Mm-hmm.
and Heathcliff is basically forcing her to marry his son, and she is not afraid of him, and she's trying to shove past him to get out the door because he's physically locking in her into the house,
Yeah.
and he grabs her head and just bam on her ears.
Oh my god. I've
Yeah,
had my kids hit my freaking headphones on accident in the way that hurt, so I could only imagine. Damn. That's
yeah,
brutal.
it's rough. I know I'm laughing. That's because I'm really uncomfortable with this book.
That reminds me of Bailey Sarian so bad. Like, she will
I
laugh in the
know that's where
most
I
inappropriate times, and she's like, I'm not laughing because it's funny, I'm laughing because this is very uncomfortable and I don't know what to do. So
get.
yeah, and my
I
brain
mean, and
is just like,
I really hate to say this because it is a well written book. It's an important author for this time. It's one of the few female authors we're getting out of that region at that time.
mm,
But it is so rough.
yeah, that's a hard book to
Really rough.
read.
Yeah. And I'm probably gonna watch a couple of movie adaptations just to see
Yeah,
how they interpret it. But jeez, if it's anything like the book, I will probably stop it halfway through. But from what I've heard, it's not. So maybe I'll
yeah.
watch it all the way through.
And I think the reason, from just listening to what you said, what I think why they're pulling this as a romance is, with him being so angry over her death and being in love with her, it was, I loved her so much that I will burn the world and I don't care about the consequences type of thing or who I hurt. And that is like pinnacle dark romance. Like,
Yeah.
they love that woman so much that they will do anything. And sounds like a very morally black man to me.
And not
And
morally gray, morally black.
that is black. That is morally black. Like, no morals at all. Um, yeah, that is typically what people like to read in dark romance. I mean, yes, they say morally gray, but let's be honest, there are some of these male characters. I mean, there could be female ones that are morally black, but that tends to be what happens in these dark romances. They are not morally gray because that implies that there are still some morals there,
Mhm.
but that sounds like, that I think is where they're like, oh, this is the perfect love. This is a love story, because he is literally, oh, doing all of these, just whacking everything off the table, doing these horrible things in the name of him loving her. So that's where I can see the love romance aspect of it. But like, child abuse, you're picking on children? That's no.
And
No.
sick children too. Like his
Oh,
son is unfortunately one of those kids that probably had some kind of chronic disease in that time period that they didn't know how to treat. So the best they could do was go to the shore kind of thing.
yeah.
Heathcliff never overtly outright kill someone that you see on page.
Yeah.
Does he cause their deaths by not giving them medical treatment that they need? Yes.
Yeah.
But
Blatant
he never,
neglect.
yes, he never pulls the trigger, so to speak.
Yeah.
That
Another.
you see on anyway.
I mean,
There
when
might
was
be
this written? Do
circumstances
you
about
know?
this. When was it written?
Yeah.
I actually just looked this up earlier. Give me a second. I will.
Hmm. I feel like it's early 19th century, like early
It was
20th
first
century.
published. Wuthering Heights was first published in Great Britain, 1847.
Oh, wow. So a lot older. But if you think of that specific time frame, this is written from a woman's perspective. And women back then, if you were to kill someone, it would be something like poison, neglect, stuff like that. So it makes sense for, as her being a woman writing this man, he doesn't outright kill them, but the neglect, like you said, if he is sick, not getting him medical treatment or potentially giving him something to make him better, but it doesn't, or, just the abuse, that seems
Yeah,
to be fitting from a female writer of the
yeah.
time.
And like I said, I this is definitely a commentary on this kind of tale. This is
Mm-hmm.
not an endorsement by any means.
Oh, yeah.
Furthest thing from it. It is very blatantly a commentary from her about how these people are being treated and what this makes them do.
Yeah. And that type of
So,
treatment was more common back then.
oh yeah, for
You
sure.
know, that's where the whole children are to be seen and not heard, and like you said, the classism of it, and people are always looking down on others for whatever reason, whether it's money, race, religion. So it makes sense that these topics come up, especially in that time period, because it was everyday life, and mistreating someone just because you're angry was, I feel like it's the norm with how much freaking true crime I've seen. It is so normal for them, beating their children and to the point where they can't sit or they're bruised or, it's terrible.
Yeah, because like in that scene that I described about him boxing her ears in like the worst way, I
Mm-hmm.
initially thought because that's where my brain goes that he was like going to put her over his knee and spank her or something,
Yeah.
which is still not acceptable.
No.
But that's where my and then he turned around and did that. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
shit.
And when you said like he tried to grab her, I was like, oh, so he's grabbing her and physically moving her. And then you're like, no, he whack. I'm like, even me, I'm just like, okay, so we're physically moving someone. So that goes to show you where our heads are if a situation like that happens and how brutal that scene actually is. Like, yikes.
Yeah. So have a strong stomach if you decide to read this novel. Um, be warned what it's really about. Um, do not take this as romanticized. Please, please, please don't take this as a romanticized version of what you think love should be. It's not. Really
Yeah.
not. Anyway, enough about that.
Surprisingly, I have been listening to a book. I've kind of fallen off of Zodiac Academy because the books are like 25 hours long. And the thought of going back to it, and I think I was reading book 7, and I still have like 24 hours left of it. And I just the thought of it, I was just like, oh, damn, I don't know if I could finish this series. It because it's not even over yet. The ninth book just came out, and this is supposed to be a 12-book series. And I'm like, if it takes another freaking 5 books for this issue to resolve that has been going on since book 1, I will lose my marbles. So I needed something to get my brain listening to something. And based off of your recommendation, I started listening to Serpent's Touch by Marina Simcoe. I'm not completely done with it. I still have like about an hour left to listen to it. So I think it's like I have 9 chapters left. But this follows oh my god, I have just forgot her name.
Mira.
There you go. Amira. She is part of a menagerie. And I'm pretty sure menagerie, that's the correct word, with essentially all of these creatures from a different world that are on Earth, I'm assuming. That's the way it sounds. They're on Earth. They're getting these creatures and monsters from this other world and basically set up like a freak show, if you will, right? For the people, and they travel from town to town, taking that Carney type storyline. And she ends up finding out that in one of these crates, one of the sideshows is not just an animal. It is a man who is literally being left to die in a crate because he refuses to be a sideshow, essentially. And she ends up forming this friendship, and eventually they plan their escape. I am really enjoying this. It is kind of fun to kind of see this perspective of a girl that has grown up with monsters, essentially. And they're called Brack, I believe. There's a lot of different words that are thrown out there that I'm like, okay, I can't remember 100% what they are. So they're very rough around the edges. They're not affectionate. She's kind of starved for attention, affection, communication. She's just there and just tries to be quiet. Like, let me just stay out of everyone's way. You know, the typical, I want to make myself as small and quiet as possible to not cause any issues. And that's an interesting storyline, especially since she's 20 or 21 or in her early 20s. And her just kind of being naive to how the world works. But I guess when you're around monsters all the time, that's different. But it's just kind of interesting to see, you know, that storyline, because I've never read something like this or listened to it. So yeah, I'm having fun with it, and it's now getting to the fun bits because there is some smut in it. So they're now forming their friendship has evolved. So I'm waiting for that. And the fun part that is kind of a little puzzling is the creature that is actually a man is a Gorgonian, which is essentially a Gorgon, right? With the snakes, and you look at them, they turn to stone. How is this relationship going to work, you know, without them seeing each other? You know, they can only see each other without basically everything eye level down, you know? So that is also an interesting take, because, I mean, I couldn't even imagine falling for someone and not being able to look them in the eyeballs. That's crazy. But I am really enjoying it. And I was one of the reasons why it kind of caught me off guard too. Before we podcast, is Leona was like, "Oh, I'm home. Do you want a podcast?" I was like, "Dang it! I was waiting for my headphones to charge so I could finish listening to the book, so I could have a full review." But I had to charge my headphones. And my headphones were charging, and I was like, dang it. I was like, oh, well, I'll give what I have so far. I'm almost to the end of the book, so I feel like I could give a fairly decent review. I'm not reading it, so I am listening to it, and the narrators are Stephanie K and Tyler Dawn. Yeah, Dawn. Um, Great narrators. They're doing a fabulous job, going from back and forth. I believe it's duet. It's where they don't read each line. It's like they read the specific chapters for each character. Um, but yeah, I really like it. I'm having fun with it, and I'm hoping to finish it tonight, maybe while I'm editing clips, possibly, or working on something.
And it is a duology, so you have to read the next one after this.
Yes, I did see that, and I was like, the first. I will say, if you have an Audible account, the first book is free to listen to. You don't have to use your points on it or your tokens or whatever the hell it's called. So that one, the first one you can listen to for free. The second one, you get charged that one credit or token. So I was like, sweet, I still have one. So I'm going to listen to the first one, and then I'm going to listen to the second one right after. In between reading Elven Heartbound by Elizabeth Ash. So Elizabeth Ash is the physical copy I'm reading while listening to Serpent's Touch. So
speaking of Elizabeth Ash, because you
yes.
showed this book off last time,
Mm-hmm.
I have to bring this to show you. I have, because I'm a longtime Elizabeth Ash reader, a collector's edition of Elven Heartbound. I'm going to hide my bookmark so you can't see where I'm at on this because I've been reading ahead.
I expected
So
it.
this is the collector's edition with Arisana and Sarian. And she went all out on this thing because we also have embossed covers.
So beautiful.
And we have the duplex illustrations. And she just kept going. It was been amazing. We have the color headers.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Bravo to her, because that is a work of art. It's beautiful. And it doesn't even have like the sprayed edges that I know everyone's doing for their special editions. And I will be honest, I prefer no sprayed edges purely because I feel like the paint is going to rub off eventually. So I can really appreciate that it's still like edges are normal, but the inside, that's
so then I also have two more I have to show.
Oh yes, proceed. I'm so sorry.
This is the L'Oreal Nistria version, collector's edition. Again, embossed covers. And I have to show all the pictures because they're so pretty.
And this was the artist that we were talking about earlier. That we were asked. I asked if they were available, and she was like, "Nope, I already checked."
Oh, the leaves.
That's so pretty.
I haven't read this one yet. This one is on my list. Elven Heartbound I have already read before because I read it while it was still on the serial.
Yeah.
And finally, this is a different storyline called A Dance of Sand and Magic. This is Shadow and Starlight.
Ooh.
We have this amazing masterpiece here. And then we also have, I'm going to show the character art. The character art's on the hardcover, but it's also
on that page.
Also here.
Jeez, that's beautiful.
And look at this.
That is so good. Like, she went all out, like you said. Like,
I know. Oh, and she also has in the back. You have the map.
Oh, and it's color. Nice.
Color. I can't remember. Does she have the map in the back of the other ones? I don't remember. I was actually looking for this map the other night. She does. She has the map in the other ones too.
Ooh.
Right?
That's nice. Because I was wondering about that one too. I was like, dang. I'm wondering how the kingdoms lined up.
So, and I'm going to be upfront and honest with you. This is not a paid endorsement. This is me just literally fangirling over these books. She doesn't even know I exist. So,
Well, I mean, it is fair to say that I would say most authors are also readers, and we do have those authors that we totally fangirl over. You know, like one of mine will always forever be Sherilyn Kenyon. She got me
yes.
into reading like that vampire fantasy, urban fantasy, like Chef's Kiss. I love her work. She could put down a freaking paper bag with something written on it and I might buy it. Like I'm gonna get
Right?
it because I just love her work.
Yeah. So, um, if you are interested in these absolutely beautiful editions, they are all the collector's editions are only available on her website, elizabethash.com. If you want, unfortunately, you do have to buy the first and second seasons of Elven Heartbound, either from her or from Amazon. It is no longer available on the serial, I'm guessing due to Amazon copyright bullshit. I don't know.
Sounds about
I'm
right.
not involved in that. But the Dance of Sand and Magic storyline, all of that is available on Inked and Ream, INKKT. Um, yeah, and she actually has a third series called King's Road that I haven't actually read yet. I'm working on that one.
You're like, I have to get through all of these.
I have to. I have to. I always do that with my favorite authors.
Yeah. Just read their whole
So,
backlist.
yes. I literally have lists of authors that I need to go back and read their entire bibliography.
I have my list is so long of my TBR has gotten ridiculously long.
I'm not
And
even
I'm like
sure how many I have on my Goodreads.
there is just not enough time in the day.
So anyway, so after that, random fangirling moment.
That would bring us to the end of episode 5 of outlining. You can find us. Our email is writingwithwitches@gmail.com. We have a website that is writingwithwitches.com where we post, we're going to be posting our transcripts of our episodes. It is a little slower to come out because it is very labor intensive and tedious. So if you decide you want to listen to it, you can listen here or wherever. But the written will be on our website where we will also post things like short stories and articles that we decide we want to share. You can listen to us pretty much anywhere you can listen to podcasts, I think, at this point. And you can watch us on YouTube and Spotify as well. They have a video option. You can find Writing with Witches on Bluesky, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I feel like I'm missing one. I don't
Discord.
remember. Discord. I was like, I'm thinking Discord, but I'm not sure. We do have a Discord group that you can join, where we will start sharing tips over there once we actually have people in there, because right now it's a little dead.
It's just us. Just us.
It's just us. But that would be, another place you can find us, which we're always on Discord. Like, it's always on.
We talk so much.
We talk daily, and it is pretty much all throughout the day at this point. So for me, I also have a Discord group. I do stream occasionally on Twitch, but lately we have been so busy with the podcast, I have not had time. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, Bluesky, TikTok, YouTube, as author Nicole Autumn or Nicole Autumn author, whichever one. Most of them are the first way. And I do have my own website that will be linked below because it is literally the HTTML big long one for you. So pretty sure that's all the places you can find me.
Okay, so you can find my Leona Urbansky author site linked below as well. You will also find the link to my Substack there. And again, I'm going to be hopefully releasing previews and sneak peeks soon of the concept and cover art. So sign up, please.
Yes.
You also can find me on mainly Facebook and Instagram right now. I'm going to be doing better about trying to get more on YouTube. And you can also, I haven't been posting them as often because my book reviews have been coming out here. Um, my
Yeah.
Leo's book reviews sites are on WordPress and Facebook. You can sign up for the WordPress and get them just emailed to you, or you can follow the Facebook page, and they come out every Wednesday right now. I have not been posting video reviews again because I've been reviewing everything here, and I feel like if you really want to, we'll just cut it out.
Yeah, I could just clip it for you and send you
There we go.
your whole review. That way you just double post it. So you can put it there and then it'll be on our
Not going to argue with
podcast.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then you can also reach me at leona.urbansky@gmail.com, and all of these will be linked below for you as well.
Yes.
So
We will do that.
that's it.
Yeah, that is the end. So next week we will
Oh wait,
be
one more thing.
talking. Yes.
It is when this is going to be aired. We just got past Lunasa or Lamas, whichever one you celebrate. So happy Fire Festival to you if you celebrate those holidays. Okay, now
Yeah.
one.
I was just gonna say, our next episode for I believe episode 6 will be the pitfalls and benefits of being an author and writing.
Trope or being an author.
Oh, tropes. Oh my god. Me like totally not freaking seeing that part. I was like, what? Ignore what I just said. The pitfalls and benefits of tropes. We'll just cut that part out. It'll be fine.
Absolutely. No, I'm not doing that.
You're like, I am not cutting that out. So yes, tropes, the pitfalls and benefits of using them. There we go. Well, before I make a fool of myself anymore, thank you all for watching, and we hope you will come back for next episode, and we will see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.